On a rare occasion, an intuitive is going to pick up information that is less than positive. I'm saying that strategically for a reason. And in this video, I'll explain why I'm saying it that way. Also, what to do about it when you do get negative information.
This is your moment. This is your moment in time. This is your moment. This is your moment.
I worked as a professional medium for a number of years, and I've seen negativity come from a lot of different angles. And I don't mean people being negative, I mean negative information come from a lot of different angles. I've seen a lot of people come into a session worried that negative information was going to come through. I have seen readers deliver negative information that was not accurate and was not intuition and have done damage. I have also seen readers and myself, I've experienced receiving negative information and finding a way to be able to deliver that information. I want to cover all of these in this session today because I want you to be empowered and aware and be able to move forward intuitively, either as the intuitive reader or the receiver of information, to deliver to someone else, or the receiver of information from another intuitive. I want you to be aware when it comes to dealing with negative information. Now, let's get started with the fear. I understand the fear. A lot of people will hesitate in getting a reading for a few different reasons. And occasionally, in my circles, somebody will be like, I just don't understand why they're so nervous. You don't understand why they're nervous because as an intuitive, you're used to receiving intuitive information. You're open to the concept that there's another side. You're open to the concept that there's life after death. You're open to all of these concepts, which have become normal to you. But for some people out there, it has not become normal to them. Let's say that somebody who had been married for 50 years lost the love of their life. They come into you as a reader and they're nervous. They're very nervous. Why? Because understanding and learning that they're really still there is a big deal. It's not small. So they're nervous because they're coming in and either they're going to find out that they're there or they're not there. And for a lot of people, it's very black and white like that. And so it's a very nerve-wracking situation. For some, they come into a reader and they're worried they're going to hear something negative. They're worried they're going to hear judgment come through from the other side. So perhaps they do believe in that afterlife and that we do exist beyond this physical realm. Now they're maybe worried about finding out something negative that's going to happen to them, or they're going to hear that somebody on the other side saw something that they did that was not good. All of these things come into play. It can be a very vulnerable situation for someone to sit down with an intuitive reader sometimes because they can have honest to goodness fears of what might come through. And a lot of that is the fear of negative information. Now, as a professional reader, I would sit with somebody, and the second I picked up on that fear, which either you can feel it, you can see it in their face, or you can feel it, or they've got a great poker face. And in that case, their arms are crossed or their legs are crossed or they're sitting sideways from you. I would always address that and say, how you doing? Are you comfortable? And on the phone, sometimes it's a little harder to pick up on, but I would pick up on it occasionally and open up the conversation. And they would say, I just don't know what's going to come through. I'm scared about what's going to come through. And that's when I just reassure them, negative information doesn't come through. They will not give you anything. And this is really kind of the theme of this whole video. They're not going to give you anything that's going to put you in such a state of fear. It's going to ruin your path moving forward. People who are on the other side, individuals, souls, universe, guides, source, none of them are going to scare you into a corner. I've never seen it happen authentically. I've seen some readers do it. We'll get to that. But I've never seen it happen, and it just doesn't come through like that. We function in fear-based reality, and they do not. They function in the space of, what can I tell this person to help them on their path? Not to scare them, not to terrify them, not to cause them dread, because fear, terror, dread stops you on your path. They know that. They know that. And this is not a situation where Me personally, as a reader, I'm making it, you know, butterflies and sunshine and rainbows and nothing ever bad happens. Yeah, people go through really difficult things. I've been presented with a lot of information that was very heavy or very difficult, but it was always delivered in a manner that that person could receive in a safe and calm space. It was never delivered in a manner that would scare the person, because that backfires on moving forward on their path. This is how I would explain it to them, usually a little bit more gentle than I'm explaining it right here. But, you know, for the sake of this session, I want you to feel my passion with this. I'm passionate about this because I've seen a lot of people give a lot of negative information. I'm not even going to call it intuitive information because it's not information. So we're going to take doomsdayers aside and put them over here, because that's a whole different session. But I do want to talk about the intuitives that do deliver fearful information. They fall into two different categories. You have ones that are doing it on purpose, and you have ones that are not doing it on purpose. So let's talk about each. There are individuals who, when the information comes through, they're still slightly transferring that information through their own opinion, through their own belief structure, or their own fear-based thinking. And they translate the information coming through. And as a result of that, it gets delivered in such a way that becomes out as very, very fearful. You're going to lose your house. So they might see or feel or hear something that tells them that the person is going to be leaving that house and moving to another one. Perhaps that reader has their own current fear of losing their house. Perhaps they're financially in a bad situation. They're looking at foreclosure or something like that in the reader's actual living life, like their human existence. They sit down, they do a reading with someone else. They feel or see the intuitive information of the person they're reading moving from one house to another. And then they translate it through their own experience, and it comes out as you're going to lose your home. And it's not the case. It's not the case. And actually, it's not even comical, because what I want to do is I want to reach out to that reader and sit down and go, what's going on? Are you okay? Can I help? Like, are you all right? What's happening? What kind of support can we find for you? But when people, especially readers, they're going through really tough things, they can sometimes project that fear into the intuitive message that's coming through and then deliver it to the other person. That is not accurate information. That's muddy information. Now, as a sitter, what can you do in this moment? If you hear fearful information come through, something that is negative, this is the exact sentence I want you to use in the session with love. I want you to use the sentence. Please just tell me what you see, feel, or hear. Okay. This is going to invite the reader. Hopefully they'll be on board with you, and they're, ethical, and they'll say, okay, this is what I see. I see you in one house, and now I see you in another house. Okay. What caused you to think that that was foreclosure? Did you see a foreclosure sign? Did you see anything else? If they say, well, I'm not quite sure, it's just I saw this to this, then that's the intuitive information. That's the intuitive information. It's not that you're going to foreclose. That's the reader's opinion, skewed by the experience that they either have gone through in the past or that they're worried about going through in the future. That's the information. You're going from one house to the next. And what's really interesting is that you could have showed up to sit with this reader and to find out, is now the time to move? Is my dream house waiting for me? The answer is yes, because they saw you moving from one house to another. That's joyous. That's wonderful. But it can be marked with the personal translation of the reader. I've seen this happen a lot of times. Trying to think of a couple of examples that I've seen, but I've seen it happen quite frequently. I had one student that did a phone reading for a family member of mine, and the family member of mine, her brother, was struggling with alcoholism. But the reader picked that up right away. She says, well, I see a lot of alcohol. There's a lot of alcohol. So she was seeing bottles and bottles and bottles. And the person she was reading, which happened to be my family member, said, yes, yeah, there's alcoholism. And then the reader, the intuitive piece of information was just solidly intuitive, got meshed with what she was dealing with, which was that somebody that she knew, was dealing with alcoholism. So she started to talk to the sitter in those terms. Well, it's making you feel like this, and this is what's happening, and this, person is doing this, and this person's doing that, and this person's doing this, and then they did this, and you feel this way. And the sitter was like, I can't relate to any of that. No, that's not the situation. That's not in my house. It's outside of my house, and I don't interact with it every day, and I can't really relate with that. Well, what was happening was, while the first piece of intuitive information came up was very accurate, because that reader was dealing with a lot of heaviness around that topic in her own life, she started to mesh those two things together, and the information became very negative. These are not moments where it's on purpose. These are not moments where it's on purpose. These are moments where perhaps a reader isn't stopping to really make sure that they're separating themselves from the situation and taking that breath every now and then to go, okay, I need to check in with myself here because this sounds really familiar. So I need to check in with myself. This isn't about me. This is about them. Maybe they're skipping that step, and that's okay. We also have to honor that everyone's walking through life, and sometimes they're walking through struggles. Perhaps they're, in that situation. So these are situations where negative information comes through, but that's not the intent. Their intent really is to help, really is to do their best job. But right now, their human stuff is bleeding into the session. Okay. Then you have people that do this with intent. I'm going to do my best to stay calm in this, but I got to tell you, it's a pet peeve of mine, big time, big time. I remember running into a mother of a young man. He was 21, 22 years old. And I was talking with the mom, and it was just sort of a casual business acquaintance situation. And she said, oh yeah, my son's, hanging out over there. And, I wish he would go to school, but he won't go to school. And I wish he would, follow his dream, but he won't follow his dream. I'm like, does he know what his dream is? And she goes, well, yeah, but somebody totally squashed that. I said, well, what happened? And she said, he got a reading from this reader on the street. First off, that's not a great sign. Maybe a fair where the readers putting their effort into going in and setting up a booth, but this was just somebody like, I think in New Orleans on the corner of a street saying, give me $10 and I'll say a few sentences or something. But anyway, not an ethical reader, it turns out, because this reader told this young man when he was like 18 that he was going to die when he was 22. And this young man, it breaks my heart, believed her because she had all of the mystical stuff and she was convincing and believed her. And as a result of this, he didn't go to college for the thing that he's passionate about, that he wanted to do for the rest of his life, because he decided he was dying at 22. How horrifying is that? So I said to the mom, obviously he's open to this, or was that just for fun and he believed it? She goes, no, he's open to it. And that's the thing. And he believes it. I said, can I please read for him? Please, or at least just talk to him in general about the whole concept of readers, that, whatever. And she said, I'll ask him. Always ask permission. He said yes, he was receptive to it. I am so grateful to this day for his guides, because his guides came through really wanting this kid to get back on path. And he was in this firm belief of what this reader had told him, which was horrific. It's a horrible thing to do to a young person, to anybody, actually. If anyone gives you your death date, stand up and walk away. That's not part of the intuitive information field that's out there. So I sat down with him. His guides were so wonderful. They gave him so much proof about his current life that I could have never known, that he was now paying attention to me. Is this because I was a good reader? No. I was a pretty good reader, but I'm a pretty good reader, but no, this was that the guides went, okay, we have his attention. Proof, 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 proof. Are you listening? And he was like, I'm right there. Yes. You're not going to die. You are not going to die. That person was not accurate, was not tapped in. That was not real information. That was a hoax. You're not going to die. And the kid just, he kind of kept it to himself. It is 22-year-old young man, or 21, or right around there. But anyway, he received the news that he wasn't going to die within a year. And you could see the relief. He was, being real stern about it, but I could see the relief. And that mom was relieved, and that young man was able to move forward. But how damaging is that that woman did that? Now, it can be a part of his path, and it can be a part of what was supposed to happen. Perhaps he was supposed to hear that information. Perhaps he was supposed to hold still. All of these are possibilities. We have to stay open to that. But in this linear format, I didn't agree with that. I did not agree with that person telling this young man he only had a couple years to live when he's perfectly healthy and he should go out there and do this world. Even worse than this, why I'm not even going to compare any of these because all of these situations are unique in themselves. But another thing that I have a really hard time with is the readers that, and I don't even want to call them readers, the fake readers who are out there scamming people for money. And what does this look like? Many times it starts with a neon sign. Or, you know, it's sort of a kitschy thing. It's not necessarily a professional setting. There's a lot of, you know, things to look at and the woo and the sparkles and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the mystery and a lot of visuals happening. And then there's an emotional pull. And these scam artists, which is exactly what they are, these scam artists will pull emotionally. And the second they get your insecurity, they'll hook into it. Once they hook into it, they will claim that you have a curse or that you have heavy darkness that's on you that can't be lifted. And that's why all these bad things have happened. And here's all the bad things that are going to happen. Here's where they go with it. They will sell you an object and say that this object will keep you safe. That's $400. Or they'll sell you a candle that when you burn it, that will cure the curse. That's $1,000. While some of us are listening to this video thinking, "Ooh, wow, why would you?" Ooh, it happens. It happens. When a sitter sits down and with a reader, many times, most often, they're putting themselves in a vulnerable space of saying, okay, I'm open for you picking up information about my life path. So that openness, that vulnerability, energetically, you know, can be taken advantage of by a small percentage of what I call scam artists who are just in it for money. I, along the years, have met people who have been taken for thousands of dollars, smart, intelligent, capable, independent people who have been taken for thousands of dollars because the scam artist knows how to utilize their insecurities, how to find them, how to poke them, how to tweak them, and then how to give them a solution that has a very large price tag on them. If anyone tells you that you have to spend more money in order to see, like, you know, positive results or in order to stop you from going down some spiral of darkness, they're using fear to rob you of money. Now, you might come across a reader that says you could use an energy session, okay, at a reasonable price, 1 energy session or 2 energy sessions. Fine, that's fine. That's like coming across a you know, massage therapist that says, oh, your shoulder's locked up. You could use like 2 more sessions and then you should be good to go. Perfectly fine. But just as a massage therapist would say, like one that was not ethical would say, you have to get massage on your shoulder every single week for the rest of your life for $400 a week. Not ethical. Same thing happens with these unethical scam artists. You don't even want to call them readers. They don't even deserve to be called a reader. While they might be able to pick up 1 or 2 things intuitively, if that, more than likely they're doing cold reading techniques that are going to kind of convince you that they're tapped in. This is not the case. They're in it for the money and they're looking for people that are very vulnerable. A friend of mine, we were walking down the street and I saw one of those neon signs. And my friend said, I really want a palm reading. And I'm like, you know, that's not, she goes, well, let's just go up there and find out. I said, all right, fine. So I went up there and red flag number 1, the scam artist said, well, you pointing to me, you can't come in with her. I can only read people alone. No one can be in there with them. That is a huge red flag. That is a huge red flag. If they won't let any of your friends or family or loved ones come in with you because that's what you want, that's a red flag. Now, I understand that sometimes when a second person is in the room, when I'm reading somebody and there's another person in the room, sometimes it's a struggle. You might pick up information about the other person as well. But overall, if a reader will not let anyone else come in there with you, they're isolating you. That's a very bad thing. And she did, but we were both aware of the fact that this was probably not for real, and we were just seeing what would happen. And so my friend went in there and then came back out, and I had cash. I had a $20 bill on me, or I think my friend did. I don't remember. The only thing we had was a $20 bill, and the palm reading was $10. And she couldn't convince my friend to do more because we walked in there knowing it wasn't real. And the scam artist says, well, I don't have change. I don't have change. So you're just going to have to give me that 20 or get another reading or get this or get that. This is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, busy downtown, kitschy area where she's already seen a whole bunch of people. And I just looked at her and I said, I'm an intuitive too. And I know that you have cash. So you give change or you get nothing. And she just looked at me, and I'm pretty sure I was a bit more intense than maybe I just was right there. But, and she said, fine, 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 fine. And she went in the back room and came out magically with a $10 bill. Anyway, just know that they're not the majority of intuitives out there. There are more ethical, professional, compassionate, loving intuitives out there than there are scam artists, but please beware of the scam artists. If they get you alone, if they ask you too many questions, if they're asking you about your fears, if they're saying things that are way too generic, and then they're trying to convince you that you're doomed or cursed or anything like that, get up and walk away as fast as possible. Do not open your wallet. Do not spend any more money. If you come across a situation where a reader says you could benefit in starting yoga or, getting an energy session or something like that, 1, maybe 2, fine. But anybody that says you're reliant on me and you have to pay me to help you get out of darkness or fear or whatever, it's a scam artist. Walk away. Don't walk away. Run. Run. And I wanted to say something else, but that was negative. So we're just going to stick with the positive. Just exit that scene. Now, overall, what I want to say about this session, about this video today, is that it's normal and natural for a sitter, somebody going to get a reading, to be nervous, worried that maybe some negative information is going to come through. Sometimes an intuitive who's dealing with a lot in their human world can get information mixed up. And what I say to you as the intuitive, if you get fearful information or information that sounds sort of scary, take the extra moment to sit in silence and check in with yourself. Am I relating to this? Is my experience blending in with this, or is this purely intuitive information for them? Lastly, if you do get information that feels heavy or seems like it might be heavy, take a moment before you deliver that and ask your guides, source, universe, how you can deliver that with the most love as possible. You never not deliver information, but if something seems heavy, you take the extra moment to deliver something with compassion. And as that happens, you can see the person's already aware. They probably know the situation that's happening. They usually do. And now you've opened a discussion for positive forward movement through a heavy situation. That's what the guides want. That's what source wants. They want us to be able to help someone on their path. So they're going to give information that is helpful. So if you pick up information intuitively that's heavy, you check in, you say, okay, am I translating this? No, I'm not. Okay, it's pure. Then sit with it again to compassionately find a way to deliver it. And when you do that, you will find that the person comes right along with you, and the two of you are together in this moment, and you're finding a positive solution and outcome moving forward. Beyond that, there are unethical, they're not unethical readers, there are unethical scam artists out there who are doing this and using fear in order to make money. Stay clear. Run as far away as you can, let other people know, don't see that person, and look for someone that is ethical. Always ask for a referral from a friend. That's a great way to do it. And, if you see someone, it's, just like $10, kind of thing, just, go into it knowing it might not be the real situation. It might be. Everything's possible, but it might not be. And that you, of all people, know your soul, your path, what's here, and a reader is only going to help you with confirmation, help you with what you might need to pay attention to moving forward, and help you with understanding the bigger perspective, and help you move forward on your path in a positive manner. Anything less than that is fear-based. Fear-based things, they're low vibrational and they are not intuitive. So know that intuitive information that comes through a particular channel. That channel is based in 100% unconditional love. So all information that comes through that is pure intuition is coming through unconditional love. Love, not fear, love.
This is your moment.